I couldn't sleep last night. And if you've ever struggled with sleeplessness, you'll probably know exactly what happened next. The life review started. You know, the one where your brain decides that 2 o'clock in the morning is the perfect time to replay every conversation you've ever had and every mistake you've ever made and every worry you've ever worried. And suddenly, there you are, sitting in the front row of a movie you never bought tickets for. And once that film starts, well, there's no leaving the theater. Thankfully, insomnia doesn't visit me very often, but when it does, oh my goodness, I have so much compassion for people who live with it regularly. Hi, I'm Susan, and welcome to the channel. This week's video is going to be a little different. I didn't have time this week to write and film and edit one of my usual videos. And while I am a YouTuber, at the end of the day, I'm also just a mom. A retired mom, but moms never retire, do they? Yep, still a mom, always a mom. So lately, a couple of things going on in my life meant that I put YouTube on the back burner for a bit. So this week, there's no elaborate editing and no perfectly matched B-roll. Well, maybe just a little, but definitely no decorating tips or decluttering projects. It's just me and just a little chat about what's been going on and what has reminded me about life. If you've been here for a while, you know I have 2 children. My son Nathan is 35 and my daughter Michaela is 26. These 2 people have taught me more about love than anyone else ever could. I always say I think about them even when I'm not thinking about them. Isn't that motherhood? Our kids, they're just always somewhere in our mind. My son lives here in the same city with his wife and their beautiful 5-month-old son. And my daughter lives in Ottawa, about 550 kilometers away. Thankfully, we're a pretty low drama family. We don't have constant chaos. We don't seem to attract a lot of calamity. We just kind of hum along. And maybe that's why what happened this last month really, really shook me. My son started feeling like he had a really bad cold, just not feeling well. Nothing that sounded or seemed especially alarming, but over the course of a few days, he started really feeling sick, and it became harder for him to breathe. And you know how men are. They never seem to get anything checked out until it's really bad. But to be fair, these days, it seems like you have to be almost on your last legs to be taken seriously when you do seek medical help. Anyway, he went to the emergency room here at the hospital in our city, where the wait time was around 12 hours. And don't even get me started. So he went to a walk-in clinic instead, where they could see him a little quicker. They ran some tests and took one look at the scans and immediately sent him back to the hospital. And within a very short time, he was in an ambulance with an emergency team rushing to another hospital 40 kilometers away, where an ear, nose, and throat team was waiting for him. The doctors discovered he'd been born with a growth near the hyoid bone in his throat that had been completely undetected and quiet for 35 years. It suddenly became infected and formed a large abscess that was pressing against his airway. He was breathing with much difficulty through a tiny opening. They had to drain the large abscess immediately, not a fun procedure. And then he spent 5 days in the hospital on IV antibiotics. And thanks to the grace of God and his immeasurable mercy, he's now doing well. After a little while, he went back to work and he feels fine and life is back to normal. He'll continue to follow up with specialists to decide what happens next, because it could happen again, probably will, and it will probably also require surgery. But for now, he's doing great. But for a few days, I was terrified. Now, here's something I know about myself, and anyone who knows me well also knows this. I'm a worrier, especially when it comes to my children. From the day they came into this world, this crazy worry was also born. And yes, I know all the prayers and Bible verses that tell me fear is not faith. Believe me, I know all of them. When they were little, I worried about fevers and then bicycles and driver's licenses and then jobs and friendships and relationships. Now they're adults, and one is a husband and new father, and one is in another city living her own independent life. The worries don't go away, they get bigger. What's that saying? Bigger kids, bigger problems? I know so many of you understand that, and I also know many of you have walked roads that are much harder than mine. Some of you have lost children. Some have watched children battle serious illness, and some are caring for children who struggle every day. I never want to compare pain. I'm simply sharing what this experience stirred up in me, because I have a feeling many parents and grandparents and people who love someone deeply can recognize it. And then, as if that wasn't enough excitement for 1 month, last week I flew to Ottawa to be with my daughter, not for a vacation, but for another furry family member, my daughter's rescue cat, Barbara Streisand. Yes, that's actually her name, and honestly, it's perfect. She's gorgeous, she's dramatic, she knows she's the star of the household. She had to have dental surgery, and if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know why this was especially emotional for my daughter and for me. Exactly 1 year ago, my cat Bailey had dental surgery, and he never survived the recovery period. He developed an incurable nerve condition because of the surgery. So this brought back a lot. My daughter knew how frightened she was going to be, and she wanted her mom with her. So I went. And for almost a week, we took turns giving Barb her medication and watching her closely and sleeping beside her and making sure she was eating and drinking. Doing all the things pet parents do when someone they love can't tell them how they're feeling. Yes, Barbara is already acting like none of this ever happened, as divas do. It's so strange. Within a very short period of time, I was sitting beside my son in the hospital and then sitting with my daughter beside her cat, offering her my support. Different situations, but same feeling. Someone I love needed me, and nothing is more important. As mothers, you don't hesitate. You do whatever you can, which at times admittedly seems like very little. You bring them all their favorite snacks, and you hold hands, and you hug, and you do whatever love asks you to do, because that's what we've always done. When I came home from my daughter's a few days ago, everything was quiet here. My cats had been very well taken care of, and my townhouse was peaceful and quiet. And I had this overwhelming realization: a boring day is one of life's greatest gifts. I don't mean boring in a bad way. I mean nothing is wrong. Nobody is in the hospital, and nobody needs anything urgently. The phone isn't ringing, and there isn't a crisis to try to take care of. Dinner is ordinary, and laundry is ordinary, and the weather is ordinary. It's gloriously uneventful. We spend so much of our lives wishing something exciting would happen: a trip, a new house, a new relationship, a big milestone. But after a month like this, I'll take boring every single time. Because things can change too quickly. One phone call and one unexpected infection, and then one ordinary day becomes a day you remember forever. None of us knows what's coming, and strangely, I know that thought shouldn't make me anxious. It should make me grateful. Grateful for text messages from my daughter that say, "Hi, Mommy," and grateful for photos that my son texts me of his baby boy. I'm grateful for knowing they're okay, and grateful for healthy days and peaceful days. Those ordinary moments aren't waiting periods between important parts of life. They are the important parts. And maybe that's what getting older has been teaching me. Because the older I get, the less I chase after those extraordinary moments, and the more impressed and grateful I am for the ordinary ones. So if you've been having a month that's felt a little overwhelming, maybe this is your reminder too. If today is wonderfully uneventful, celebrate it and make your tea and sit on your porch and pet your cat and fold the towels and watch the sunset, whatever your ordinary day looks like. Thank you for letting me just chat this week. I really needed it. I hope you're all doing well and that you're enjoying some beautiful ordinary days. Take care. I'll see you next Friday.